Okay, so welcome everyone. I know there'll be a few people coming in as we go, but welcome everyone to our first gut health class of 2024. And we are so excited to have so many of you here, prioritizing your health, starting with your guts, which, as we know, and we'll find out more about that tonight, is the core of everything. So we're going to be able to find out a lot more about that. So I want to dive right in. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully that works properly. Let me just make sure. Okay. All right. I think we're good to go. So, as we mentioned, we are here to learn about and discuss and support all of us in supporting our gut health. Now, we know that the gut is the core of every single body system. We know it's the first key aspect of optimal wellness. And we know it can often be called the second brain because it's as essential as the brain. And so what we're going to discuss this evening are microbiome, enzymes, the gut-brain connection, and all key aspects that help you to understand this body system so that you can better support it and just feel better. Now, there are so many organs that are involved within your gut health, and you can see them all here on this whole body system. So the gut, or the gastrointestinal system, it goes from here to the other end and everything in between. And so, unfortunately, there's a lot that can go wrong with each of those parts along the way. And so we want to be supporting each part along the way, as much with the way we chew, as the way we move, as the way we support the way we sit in our posture. So there's a lot of things that we can do to be able to support this. So what does the gut actually do? Its main role, its core role, and its simple role is it turns food into fuel. It breaks down what we eat into building blocks that we can use. And these are the core building blocks. As it comes through, it's broken down into smaller pieces. And that is the core of what the digestion does. Now, there are some red flags that you may have come across, either in yourselves or in your children or your loved ones. Bloating, constipation, acid reflux, leaky guts, and skin issues, headaches. You can see that these could be things that are flagging that there is something out of balance. So this is going to tell us if there's constipation, we know that there are certain foods that maybe our body is not happy with. Maybe we are not moving enough. There's a whole load of reasons that can contribute to constipation. Bloating, we're going to come to in a minute, actually, which hopefully will give you a little giggle, actually understand some of the reasons and some of the things where bloating comes from. Now, these are the red flags that we want to pay attention to when we have small things like bloating or constipation. If it just happens every now and then, or headaches every now and then, this is a little like alert. Our body is calling for help, and we want to pay attention to that, because if we don't pay attention to that, it gets to higher alert. Things like acid reflux, leaky gut, gastritis. That's going to be a much higher alert, a much bigger problem to be able to solve. Now, some of the reasons why these things happen, some of the common disruptors to our gut health, you can see a list of them here. So we've got antibiotics and other medication. What this does is it breaks down a lot of the positive bacteria, the good bacteria in our gut. Pesticides are going to, again, kill some of the good bacteria. They're also going to compete with the foods that our good bacteria needs. Processed foods just have very little nutrition in, and so our body is not going to be fed much from processed foods. Stress and anxiety, this is again increasing those inflammatory proteins that are going to make our gut stressed out and just not able to function properly. And that's where we often end up with things like either constipation or diarrhea. In fact, that's not on the list, but diarrhea is also a red flag that there is something awry in our digestive system. Now, you'll notice there's also things like environmental toxins. And one of the ones that we don't necessarily think of would be our household cleaning products, maybe even our makeup for the ladies, or indeed for the men. Heavy metals, which we may be exposed to. And so these are things that are going to be disrupting our digestive system because they're going to be competing for our body's attention. If we're cleaning toxins, if there's a high toxic load on our bodies, then our body needs to put more attention into that, which means it has less attention to give to our digestive tract. So these are all key aspects. Lack of sleep. We know that nothing functions well with lack of sleep, and it's so important. And a sedentary lifestyle. So if we're not moving enough, our gut will not be going well. Now, we know that our body needs to have inflammation. Inflammation is a core part of our immune system. It's really important because it's going to flood an area with antibodies and all of the things that are going to break down the bad guys. That's really important. In the situation of an allergic reaction or an infection or a cut or any of those things. And so all of these issues will trigger acute inflammation. And that's great. We want our body to do that. That's its proper role. It becomes an issue when it is chronic inflammation. It becomes this cycle that your body is creating inflammation over a long period of time. This is where we see this in certain diseases like this. Oh, lupus, I just spotted. Sorry, spelling mistake there. So you can see some of these very serious diseases are linked with chronic inflammation. And if we can nip that in the bud when our body is just tapping us on the shoulder and telling us there's something not going well, I'm not feeling very good, like with the headaches or the skin coming out in a rash or something, or sore tummies, then we can then avoid the bigger things coming to shout at us to tell us to look after our bodies. And that's really what we want to be proactive with that. So I'm going to hand over to Sabrina, who's going to talk us through one of the very common gut-related chronic inflammation issues, which is leaky gut.
Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, so I'm not sure if you've heard of leaky gut or if it means anything to anybody, but as we've just mentioned, some of the causes of different digestive issues actually are things that are listed again on here. So antibiotics is a very big one that we will cover quite a lot again, and there is some really good solutions against these as well. But leaky gut, basically your gut is good at taking all the nutrients out of your food. Okay, so that's what we want it to do. We want it to take the nutrients, we want it to use the nutrients, and then the byproducts of all of that, we want our bodies to get rid of in our waste. What's happening with leaky gut is it's like there's a hole in our net. So imagine a net going around your gut, and it now has little holes in it. So because of the inflammation, which has come on now because of chronic inflammation, so like Lindsay just mentioned, the difference between acute inflammation, which we need, our body needs to tell us that something's happening, it keeps us alive. If we cut ourselves or do something, our body wants a response to that. But a prolonged acute turns into chronic. So for example, so seasonal relief, so our hay fever area, if we're constantly getting that and we're only ever treating the symptoms, so we're doing things about our snotty nose and things, but we're not actually treating those root causes which are causing the allergic reactions, which is what hay fever is, and we're not concentrating on that inflammation of our gut, then it's going to turn into chronic. Okay, so it turns from acute into chronic, and this is what's happened here. Our gut is now inflamed, and it's actually letting those toxins through the net into your bloodstream, which is not where we want it. And then you are then getting all of those symptoms that you will get from leaky gut, which are the ones Lindsay just mentioned, our headaches, our skin issues, and things like that. So we're going to walk you through the next slide, Linz, which is, so there is a few things that you can look at doing. One of the things you might not have heard is FODMAPs. So FODMAPs are actually a way of looking at some of those foods that are actually going to irritate your gut. Now, you might notice that some of the foods, particularly on the first one on the left, have things in that you would think would normally be good for you. So mushrooms, cauliflower, cabbage, leek, celery. But when you have leaky gut, and it is leaky gut that we're talking about, not any other form of digestive issue, but when you have leaky gut, these are actually a negative. They actually create more inflammation into your bowel. So a few things you can do is we can take out some of the high FODMAP foods and we can swap them for low FODMAPs. I would recommend keeping a little bit, you can slowly introduce those foods back in one at a time to ensure that, obviously, and then keep a food diary so you know what symptoms you're getting from which foods. There's a few other things we can do. So next slide. Should hopefully. Hey, thank you very much. So how to repair a leaky gut. What are we going to do? So I've had people before say, well, I've done a cleanse and restore and it's not done anything. It's not recovered. And that is because with leaky gut, you do need to remove and replace first. Okay, so before you get to that repair and rebalance, you actually need to take away what's causing the inflammation in the first place. So hopefully that makes sense. So that is where you remove the foods or remove that area. So we can focus, particularly with doTERRA, you know, we can help you with the stress, we can help you with the sleep. There's lots of areas that we can help you with. Then we replace with the right low FODMAPs, and then we can move on to repairing and rebalancing. Perfect. I think that's back to you, isn't it, Lindsay? I think.
Yeah, sorry, I was still on mute. I loved actually that picture that you created with the FODMAP, because like they're all gas creating things, and so the picture that came into my head was a balloon or like a dinghy that you're trying to repair, and if it's constantly stretched and full of air, you just can't, because everything's stretched to full capacity. And so that's those FODMAP. When you saw beans on there, that's what made me giggle when I saw that list. I was like you know, we all know the song. And so that's part of it, and it really makes sense, is that actually reducing that pressure within the gut is going to help us to be able to repair it. So thank you very much for that, Sabrina. So one aspect of that repair and replace and rebalance within leaky gut, and with all things that are affecting our gut, is enzymes. Now, enzymes are a really key part. This is one of those slides where there's lots of information, so you may want to take a picture of this one, because I'm not going to go through all of it, because we'd be here for a while. But you can see how important enzymes are. So enzymes are the little people, I imagine, little people taking to pieces the food so that it turns into building blocks. If this was Lego, this would be the people who take apart the Lego so that they are into individual blocks. And so it's a really, really important part, because otherwise no body system can utilize the fuel that we're having. And so it's not just in digestion. We need enzymes in our bloodstream, because that's going to enable us to actually absorb the oxygen from that's being carried by the hemoglobin. So it's also a separator. It's going to provide separation from things. So they'll be carried and they'll be bound by something, and then they'll be separated by an enzyme. And so it's also going to be triggering. They can also act as a neurotransmitter or a messenger during times of, like, if there's a toxic load, then the liver's going to be triggered to release certain things and to get rid of those toxins within your bloodstream. Your kidneys are going to be there to also detox and cleanse. And so you can see that enzymes are really, really important within every part of our body. They influence our ability to see, think, feel, and breathe. That's quite important, right? So enzymes are really, really key in everything. So why enzymes actually decrease? You may have heard this, and I've had personally experienced, and actually it was a little bit before 30, that my enzymes started to decrease, and foods that I would have normally been fine with, or that I would have normally been able to tolerate, maybe not happily, but tolerate, I just couldn't anymore. And maybe you've experienced this as well. And that's because after the age of 30, our digestive enzymes start to decrease, or all of our enzymes start to decrease. And this will be also influenced by our lifestyle, by our nutrition, by our levels of stress, what type of food we're eating. And also, if we are always cooking our food at very high temperatures, then we're not going to be getting very many enzymes from it. So that's that top tip in the middle, is just to make sure that you know where to get your enzymes. Undercooked or raw food, mostly vegetables, is where you're going to get your enzymes. And so they are sensitive to high temperatures. So you don't want to be cooking everything or boiling everything, or, you know, all of the things that we do, which is why steaming is so good, because you can get that undercookedness that allows us to keep those enzymes. So let's look more closely at the digestive enzymes. So yes, we know that digestive enzymes break down the food we eat, but actually they do way more. They are involved in all of our physiological processes. This long list, I actually took some of it out. Can you believe that? We still have all of these things, but I took some of them out because I thought, actually, we're just going to focus on these ones. So some key aspects of these, I just want to highlight. Energy production. We need digestive enzymes in our energy production. We need it in the absorption of oxygen, which is going to affect our energy production. It's also going to affect our immunity, because if we are in an oxygenated state, then our immune system is strong. We're going to have stronger cells. Every body system is going to work well when we're in an oxygenated or an aerobic state. When we go into anaerobic, where there's a lack of oxygen and carbon dioxide is dominating, that's where we get into trouble, acidity, degeneration of cells and those kind of things. So fighting off infections, we know that digestive enzymes are actually going to be part of the part where it's just breaking it down into pieces. As I said, these are the little people who take them into individual bricks. Once our immune cells have done their job and killed whatever that pathogen is, the digestive enzymes will come along and digest it, take it to pieces and get rid of it. So that's a really important role. Healing wounds. You may have had a scar before. I'm imagining that all of you have at least one scar, and you know how it's kind of hard, particularly at the beginning while it's just scarring up. And then it softens over time. And so this part is digestive enzymes are actually eating the scar tissue. They're breaking down the scar tissue. And that's a really key factor that we're actually going to come back to in a minute. They are reducing inflammation. They're helping us to get the nutrients into our cells, and they're eliminating toxic waste because they're breaking them down so we can get rid of them rather than having them swimming around our bodies, making us feel angry or sad, or just holding more fat because we're protecting ourselves from it. They also break down fats in your bodies. So these key aspects, like dissolving blood clots, that's huge. That's huge, because we know what happens if a blood clot is formed and not dissolved. We know where that heads. So we know that this is a really key factor. So please don't underestimate the impact of digestive enzymes on your whole body, not just your digestion. And look at that last one, slowing down the aging process. Don't we all like that one? I definitely like that one. So the thing that we can do that's very, very easy is we're going to eat more fresh fruit and veg. That's a really easy one. And we can support ourselves with Terrazyme, which is doTERRA's digestive enzymes. Now, I told you there were two different types of enzymes, digestive enzymes and other enzymes, which are more metabolic enzymes. Now, this is digestive enzymes, which means our body is going to be able to focus more on metabolic enzymes. And we've got a whole other workshop all about that on Thursday, but that is really good news. We want our body to focus on metabolic enzymes, and we'll talk a little bit about that afterwards. So this is what Terrazyme is doing. It's going to be helping to break those things down. I've already gone through how they break them down, but it's going to be helping us to be able to break down some of the foods that are kind of red flags for our body, things like lactose. Our body is not a big fan of lactose. Gluten, really not a big fan. And sugars, definitely not a big fan. So if we are having some of those things, and we all do, most of us do, then Terrazyme is really going to help us to be able to break that down so that it can be absorbed or gotten rid of in our bodies and not create massive inflammation. But what else does Terrazyme do? These are a few other things. Again, this is one you want to take a screenshot of. These are some of the other things that Terrazyme does, so that we can really get the most out of it. So you can see tissue repair. You can probably guess what that is after surgery, you know, how it's eating up that scar tissue. Well, that's why it's helpful for that. Skin issues. This is a really big one that I want to draw attention to. It's very much linked to this autoimmune and gluten sensitivity. A lot of the time when we have skin issues coming out, it's because of what's going on inside our bodies. And funnily enough, my first reflex is if someone is talking about eczema or psoriasis or anything like that is, how is your gut? Do you have any issues with certain foods? And that's where we'll usually start. We won't just start slapping oils on. because that's just papering over the cracks. We want to deal with what's going on. Yes, we can alleviate it with oils, but we want to go with what's going on the inside. And Terrazyme is a massive help for that. So you can see some of the recommendations to help with each of those things. So this in red, you can see my general use of Terrazyme, how most of us will use Terrazyme. And you can vary this if you need extra support. So if you're dealing with something or targeting something, then maybe you'll do 2 in the morning and then 2 to 3 with every meal and then 2 before bed. If you're in a stable place and you just want to maintain, maybe you'll drop that down to 1, or maybe just 1 or 2 with each meal. So you can vary this. You can really, really make it suitable for what you've got going on. But really I want to just highlight how much impact it can have on so many things. And actually we have the lovely Wendy, which of course the video is not going to work on here, so I'm going to play it on the other system. The lovely Wendy, who's just going to share a little testimonial. So let me just share that. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I didn't trust my internet connection, so I didn't want to share from the internet. So I got it downloaded, but of course the videos are not on there. Okay. All right.
And she gets really itchy, really blocked. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we use and what helps us in our house, especially for my daughter and my husband also, who has digestive issues. When her digestive system is not working properly, it really affects the skin. And she gets really itchy, really blotchy, lots of times that skin gets infected, and it was a vicious cycle going around and around. So for me to get to the root of the problem for her, it wasn't an easy process, but after learning about the oils over time, the Ingest, your digestive blend, has become a really, really, really important daily ritual in our house. And also, I'm going to speak a little about the Terrazyme. Sometimes you need extra support. So being after Christmas and being away on holiday, we're also staying in an area where we can eat what we want when we want. So for someone with digestive issues, that can be quite difficult. So Ingest is being used every day. This is doTERRA's the little diluted one, the touch, so it's already pre-diluted, and you can just roll it on. So my daughter rolls it on her tummy multiple times a day at the moment because her tummy is a little bit upset. The ones that we've been using a lot of, Terrazyme, your digestive enzymes. Again, that helps break down those things that she probably shouldn't, as we try and avoid eating. But sometimes it's not very easy to do all of that. That enzyme that's in the Terrazyme, especially the anti-gluten blend, there's an anti-dairy blend in it. There's another one in it that helps break down fats. That helps her digestive system, which needs extra support to break all of those down. And again, if you get really consistent with that, whereas at the moment, normally she would take Terrazyme in the morning when she's going to school, and maybe one with dinner when she's having her dinner. But at the moment, she's taking extra ones, so she needs extra support. And my point of this video is sometimes just using it once a day or twice a day is not enough. So you need to adapt what you need. Sometimes you need to increase what you're using, and you will learn to use that as you go along. Sometimes if you use an oil or you use a Terrazyme and said, oh, I used that this morning, it wasn't any good, it didn't really help me. I really want to urge you to please get very consistent.
It's brilliant. Thank you to Wendy in your absence on your holiday. I'm just going to go back to the other slides. In them again. Okay. Okay. So what I want to share with you now is a few practical ways for you to support your gut health and to have a balanced gut. So the first one is detoxifying your gut. I am going to go into more detail with each one between Sabrina and I. So the first one is to detox. As Sabrina said with leaky gut, it's not just leaky gut. We want to clean out the bad stuff so we can then replace with the good stuff. We clean our houses before we put down a new carpet, for example. That's what we need to do in our guts. I'm going to take some probiotics, nourish probiotics with prebiotics, otherwise they're fairly pointless. Eat a healthy diet and exercise regularly. So let's have a look at each one. Detoxify your gut. So that means remove the toxins that threaten your probiotics. Now, what that means is we know that other foods like sugar, for example, is competing with your good bacteria for the things that are going to feed them. Candida is a huge example of this. Candida is present in everyone. It is only an issue if it becomes overgrown. And if it is now taking all of the food for your good bacteria and using it all up, so you have an overgrowth of Candida. And this is exactly what we're trying to detox. So a Candida cleanse is a really important place to start. If we have anything like itchy skin or rashes, that would be a really good place to start with detoxing. We want to be using natural detox and cell supporting agents. Now, this is one of the most vague statements ever. Now, what I'm talking about in this is that we want to be using things that are detoxing like citrus oils or lemon water. Lemon water, just juice itself, is excellent. It's excellent because it's helping to detox. It's also helping to create a more alkaline environment in our bodies. We know that all of those bad foods, as I mentioned about anaerobic state, is acid creating. Anaerobic state creates acid. And so we want more oxygen, not acid. We want more alkaline. And so lemon juice is going to do that. However, it does create issues within our mouths with stripping the enamel of our teeth, because in our mouths, it's acid, it's not alkaline. And so what we can use, now it doesn't mean you can't use the juice as well, maybe drink it through a straw, but I love that I can freely drink my lemon, any of the citrus oils. These are probably my top 3, maybe lime in there as well, because they are able to detox and cleanse my system all day long, all the time, without stripping my teeth. So my dentist is not going to be complaining about that, and that's brilliant. The other thing, and this is why this one's all in its own, is Zengest. Zengest is that cell supporting agent. What Zengest is there to do is to calm that inflammation, and that's what's a really, really brilliant and useful tool for that. Oregano and GX Assist, I'm going to explain a little bit more. Oregano and GX Assist are there to clean out the bad stuff. That was the first thing, right? Clean it out, get rid of it. Oregano and GX Assist, these are not long-term usage products. These are short-term for 10 days, using them to clean things out. And so we'll be doing that quite intensively. And sometimes that might create some reactions in our bodies. And that's okay. We just need to accompany our body to cleanse and detox effectively. And that's where lemon can be a really effective way to support it, or things like activated charcoal is a binding agent. So any of those toxins that are coming out, activated charcoal is going to bind to them and carry them out. Or things like Zendocrine complex is another binding agent. It's going to carry those toxins out, which I haven't put on the slide here actually. Then we've got more aspects of cleansing the gut. So this gives you a little bit more detail about those key points that I've just shared on there. So maybe just take a screenshot of that one. These are some of the things that we always go to if there's an issue. My mum is currently in Brazil on a little adventure with her partner, and they are going to the depths of the jungle. And so one of the things that she was concerned about, and that I was concerned about, that my sisters and I were concerned about, was parasites. And so we've loaded her up with oils. She's got GX Assist, she's got On Guard Plus, she's got oregano, she's got lemon and Zengest, and all these things that are going to help to support her in the middle of nowhere, 3 hours away from anything, if she ends up with any sort of tummy parasite. And that is so comforting for me, but it's also really helpful to know that we can deal with these things without things that are going to throw our entire body system out of whack. Now, the second thing, I've taken some of these from Dr. Axe's 5 ways to support your gut health, which you may have heard of him. He's a brilliant scientist in the health industry. And so I love how simple he makes things. So I wanted to stick with his simplicity. The second thing was to take probiotics. Now, probiotics are there to be balanced, to create that balanced environment. and they help to restore that balance, because we are now creating competition with that. Candida is just, I know I keep talking about Candida because it's the biggest one that creates so many issues in so many people. So this is like the big bully. Well, we're going to bombard it with loads and loads of different types of probiotics, and it's going to have to back down. And that's what we're there to do. Now, probiotics are fairly pointless if they are not accompanied by prebiotics, because while probiotics are there to feed us, they also need to feed from things. And especially if there's other competing bacteria and other competing things in our bodies, prebiotics are there to feed the probiotics. So they're lovely and lush and strong by the time they make it into our gut. And the other thing is that this double encapsulated formula that doTERRA have put together allows it to get through the acid of the gut. So through because our stomach acid is going to break down most things, right? We just drink a probiotic, it's going to mostly be broken down by our stomach acid. So if we have this double capsulated thing, then that's going to make it through so that it makes it into our gut. So this is an option for adults and children. We love it. I definitely have the child's one sometimes. Don't tell my children. I've got none left. I'm so sorry. It's really yummy. But it's also for anyone who doesn't like to take pills. But the point is that we have something available to support anyone with probiotics, and we know they are so, so important. And I'm just going to go now to Helen. And same thing again. Let's find it. Here we go. There we go.
So my name is Dr. Helen. I'm an emergency medicine doctor up in Manchester and an advocate for integrative wellness. And I love, so one thing about doctors is we always want to know what your bowels are doing. You know, have you opened them? What's it like? Are you constipated? Have you got diarrhea? And the reason is that our gut is really the sort of the universe for our whole body. What goes on in our gut affects everywhere else. It affects our skin, it affects our mobility, it affects our mental health. You've probably heard of the gut-brain axis, and it's the link between the brain and the gut and vice versa. And if we're not supporting our brain, we're not going to have good gut health. And if we haven't got good gut health, we won't have good brain health. And it's so critical that we get this part of our body absolutely sorted. And it all starts with the microbiome. So this is all the good bacteria that is in your body, helping digest your food and sending all the nutrients all over the body so that we can fight infection. Now, 90% of serotonin, which is one of the mood stabilizers, is actually made in our gut. Now, the other thing that can really affect our gut is stress. And it's all based on the fight or flight sort of signs in your body. So that's why when you're feeling stressed, you might become constipated and your tummy starts to feel a little bit upset. So working on having good emotional health will really help with your gut. But at the same time, if we're not getting those nutrients right in our gut, it's going to affect our mental health. First of all, probiotics, PB Assist, we have a lovely product, which is a probiotic and a prebiotic. So prebiotics are kind of the fuel for the car, which is the probiotic. And by taking a 10-day course of that, it can really help to reset your gut. And the other great supplement I love people to take is Terrazyme. It's a digestive enzyme, and that energy could be better put to use. The other thing, of course, is, again, our mental health. So blends like Balance and Adaptive keep us stress-free and really supportive.
Brilliant. I love slight skipping of there. That was really, really helpful. So so I hope you've seen that one aspect of this is our mental health, and it has a huge impact. I love what Helen highlighted there, which is 90% of the serotonin is made within our gut. We also know 70% of our immune health is also within our gut. So we're going to be unhappy, really weak, if we're not looking after our gut, not only malnourished as well. So where can we get these probiotics? There's lots of foods that we can use that have probiotics in there. I did have this as a lovely little video. This is Anna, who I think is on tonight, making she's adding salt to her sauerkraut. It did span round and see Sabrina massaging the sauerkraut in, but obviously it's on hold. But this is a really easy way. Don't be put off by the funny names or the kind of foreign nature, like that we haven't done this before. Sauerkraut is really easy to make, and you can make it. I will be honest, I have never made kefir, and I haven't made kombucha or any of the other ones, but sauerkraut is really, really easy. So I wanted to share a little recipe, but there are probiotics available for you that you can use, and most health food shops will have them, and that you can integrate into your diet, and that's going to be a really good way to get them into your diet. So here's a little recipe. I say a little recipe, it's quite a detailed recipe for you to make simple sauerkraut. I would also just recommend finding a little video that shows you, but it's a really lovely thing to also be able to integrate. You can put some oils in there. They can flavor it with your sauerkraut. Some caraway essential oil is really nice in your sauerkraut. So please maybe take a photo of that, or you can search for a recipe on YouTube. So the fourth thing, so remember what the first three, I wonder whether anyone can remind us of the first three. What was the first three? Maybe pop it in the chat. Sabrina, do you want to see if anyone can remember the first three? The fourth aspect to be able to support our gut health, or for a balanced gut health, is to eat a healthy diet. We are designed to eat a whole variety of food. We're designed to eat the rainbow, and that is because the rainbow is going to have a wide range of phytonutrients, as well as a wide range of enzymes and a wide range of nutrients, of macrobiotics. And we know that all of this is going to feed us to be at our best. We know that sugary, fatty, processed foods do not support our microbiome. So let's favor, it doesn't mean you cut them out entirely necessarily, but favor the fresh, natural, whole foods. And that's what you're going to get. Now, we know that actually sometimes time is not on our side. And let's be honest, chopping up a salad can sometimes take quite a while. So you can prepare these. I know Rachel's done some really lovely kind of pre-prepared salad jars that she just keeps in your fridge. You can keep them in the fridge. They're lovely for about 3 days. Now, I believe for me, the key to a lovely salad is a lovely dressing. So I've also got a recipe for you for my favorite dressing. But it means that you can make this really simple. You make up the salads for 3 days. You've suddenly got really healthy food for yourself for 3 days, and it's not that hard to do. So you can do this, just find ways to make it easy. It doesn't have to be hard, and then you can get that variety. There's also some aspect that is supporting your metabolism. Now, we have some lovely tips for that, which we're going to be sharing on Thursday, but I'll share one of them with you. And that one is to eat a vegetable. And it's a tip from the glucose goddess, some of you may have heard of. It's to eat a vegetable before you have anything sweet. So she's not saying don't have anything sweet. She's saying eat a vegetable before you have anything sweet. So my children know when I pick them up from school, they'll ask, oh, do you have a snack? And I'm like, yes, here's your carrot. And then what? And then you can have another treat or a biscuit or something else. Have a carrot first, or have a piece of celery. Then exercise regularly. Oh, I've got to mix that around that order. Exercise regularly. Exercise. It comes up in everything, right? Everything is referring to exercise. And that's because just moving our bodies has such a big impact on everything. The fastest way to change your energetic state or your mood or how you're feeling about everything, your outlook on life, is to move. One of my favorite things at the moment is just to put on some music really loud or in my headphones and just dance. And I would challenge you to do this before you leave the house. Just dance your heart out. And I said, this is totally exercise, by the way. If you're dancing your heart out, it is absolutely you exercising, and it can be so good for you. Or it's walking, or whatever it is that makes you feel good with your exercise. But it's so important. And we know it's not just important for how we look, but how we feel on the inside and how our gut feels as well. So exercise is really key. This is my salad dressing. These are two of my favorite core things from my diet. Is my salad dressing, because everything tastes yummy with that. You can do it with or without the soy sauce. I do change it up. It's actually quite hard for me to write a recipe for it because I kind of just chuck stuff in and then taste it. And sometimes I put basil, sometimes I'll put oregano. So you can play, but use this as a base. It's really lovely. Well, I hope you think it's lovely. I do. The other thing is this chia seed yogurt, like a kind of chia seed pudding, some people call it. This is one of my favorite things. If I know I'm going to be on the go, then I can make this up in a jar. It's sat in the fridge and it's ready. So you can have in jars in your fridge, breakfast and lunch, totally ready for you. Isn't that much easier than trying to grab something quickly because you're in a rush? So this is delicious. I absolutely love this. You can use yogurt if you want to. If you don't have any issue with dairy, you can use Greek yogurt. If you do, then maybe go with all the plant yogurts or coconut yogurt. But this works for me. I love this. This texture works really well for me. So I really, really like that. Now, we can't talk about gut health or about nutrition without mentioning Lifelong Vitality. Lifelong Vitality is doTERRA's supplement trio, and it basically covers, it's like your life upgrade. It covers all of those food groups that we're looking for. Now, it tells you here, I really love this image, that it highlights what you would need to eat in order to be able to get the amount that you're getting. This is only part of it. There's far more ingredients in Lifelong Vitality, but this is what you would need to eat in order to get the nutrition in Lifelong Vitality. 1,145 pounds worth of food. That's quite a lot. So when we look at the value of that supplement, it's pretty huge. It's absolutely immense. And so when you look at, well, I'm going to be, we're resetting, right? It's a new year, resetting, evaluating, creating our habits for the year. One of those is going to be, right, I'm going to eat better. Has anyone ever said that? I'm going to eat better this year. Please, I encourage you, whether if you've tried it, then stick with it. It is so good. If you haven't tried it, give it a go. If it doesn't do anything for you, you can get your money back. But it's been such a key aspect for me and for so many people around me, so many of my customers and so many people on this call, who've been able to feel so much better in every way: energy, inflammation, gut health, emotionally, hormone balancing. I mean, I cannot say how much more it does for you. And so this is a really good place to start your I'm going to eat better resolution, as well as your jars in your fridge ready to go. This gives you a little idea of some of the things in the Lifelong Vitality Pack and what they do. So it helps to, you can see it's helping with the cardiovascular system, it's helping with your immune system, your emotional system, your eyes, your bones, your joints. So you can you see how this is affecting every single body system? Now, there's one other thing that we did want to share with you, which is the Symphony of the Cells. Some of you may have experienced this, particularly if you're local to one of us as a wellness advocate. We may have treated you to this. It's a beautiful way to be able to experience the oils. If you are local to any wellness advocate, so either the person who invited you or anywhere in the Northampton area, there's a fair few of us who will be able to do it in the Northampton area, please reach out, because we would absolutely love to be able to do this for you. This is a way to just put oils on your back. It's very simple, so we can definitely show you how to do it, or show your child or husband how to do it, so that you can get long-term support with your digestive system through a very simple way of applying oils to the back and the feet. And you can see some of the possible conditions that this may support by using these oils in this Symphony of the Cells protocol. Now, again, please take a picture of this. I'm not going to go through all of it. This gives you an idea, and this is beautifully put together by Sabrina. All of the oils in this application this gives you an idea of what they do and why they're part of this Symphony of the Cells. So there's been a lot of information, but I want to, in summary, what are we going to do to be able to support our gut, to have that happy gut, that balanced gut that we've been looking for all this time and that we're going to finally have in 2024. We are going to detoxify our gut. We're going to clean things out, and then we're going to replace in the good. We're going to bring in the probiotics with the prebiotics so they're well nourished. We are going to eat that healthy, balanced diet with the supplementation that fills in any gaps that we know exist, because our food is not what it used to be. We know there are gaps through over farming and all of the ways that our food is produced. So we know that healthy diet is excellent. Balanced supplementation is a must to be able to fill in those gaps. And we know that exercising regularly, go for a walk, get out in nature, you know, do whatever you want to do, dance in your kitchen like no one's watching, but do what you need to do to be able to really set your gut up to feel at its best. Because I promise, if you look after your gut, so many other things will become so much easier. And that's what we really hope. And we would love to hear what things you're putting in place after this evening, that you're committing to yourself and someone else, because if we only commit to ourselves, it's a little bit too easy. We need to commit to someone else that we're going to make some steps. Change is not what we're looking for. Taking steps is what we're looking for. Action. We want action that's going to have an impact. And the final thing we have for you, oh no, one last thing after that, is that on Thursday, I mentioned metabolic health a little bit. On Thursday, we have a metabolic health workshop, which is being led by Catherine, who is going to be talking about, and I think she's called it turning back the clock, winding back the clock. That's the kind of thing we're going to be talking about, is how to actually create the metabolism that we wanted, you know, back when we were younger. And so that's one of the things that we'll be addressing on the Thursday workshop. So if you would like to come along to that, then please do. It's also a free workshop on Zoom as well. So this QR code will give you access to that booking system as well. So what happens next? Well, some of you have an account with doTERRA, some of you do not. If you do not have an account with doTERRA, then please speak to the person who invited you, and they'll be able to help you to decide what's going to be best for you. As I mentioned, that little summary, that's the most important part of this evening. These products are a part or a tool in that plan. And so we want you to be able to access these. If you haven't used them yet, then please get onto your wellness advocate, the person who invited you again, ask them to help you to find this on your back office, to add it to your loyalty rewards order. If this is a foreign language to you, also get onto your wellness advocate and ask them, what was she talking about? Can you please help me to get these products, because they can really help me. And so there are a few. You do not need everything, just to reassure you, you do not need everything. You just need to know which ones you need to target. There is this system called the cleanse and restore. So if you decide, right, I'm going all in, I'm going to clean up and replace it with a good thing, the cleanse and restore is probably the best bet, and it's got quite a big reduction because it's as a bundle. So that would be one option to look at. But I'm going to leave you with your wellness advocate to discuss this and your needs so that you can really get the best out of it. So I'm going to stop the recording. And I just wanted to have a little look at everyone, because it was so lovely to see all your faces at the beginning. And now I think we're pinned, so I can't see. Here we go. Can't see everyone anymore. But I just wanted to, I can't remove the pin from you, Sabrina. You seem to be pinned permanently.
Oh, well.
Yes, Sabine, I can see you. There we go. Remove pin. There we go. Let's see everyone in one go. Yes, there you all are. Thank you so much for coming on this evening. I hope that you've had some notes, some useful things, some action points. And if you do have any questions or anything you would like to talk about a little bit, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll be able to address any of those between me and some of the other wellness advocates. So, but thank you very much for joining this evening. So I'm just going to stop the recording.